Welcome to the Business Information Buffet podcast with your host, Sean Torrey. Each week we'll be featuring business owners and entrepreneurs that will provide their personal recipe for business, powerful conversation, and knowledge of the business world. We amplify the stories of various backgrounds, cultures, and expertise. Our self-identity is as diverse as our social community. We cultivate a community of like-minded individuals that share their different perspectives, broadening our worldview. Are you ready? This is the BIB podcast, where everybody eats. Today, our guest for episode 2, we have the studious and the innovative Jared Clark, CEO and founder of Clark Law Group. A legend in the building today we have here. Jared earned his Juris Doctorate degree from Thomas Jefferson School of Law in San Diego, California, where he graduated cum laude, and his Bachelor of Science is in pre-professional biology from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Jared is a current member of the State Bar of Nevada, American Bar Association, and Nevada Justice Associations. He is admitted to practice in the state courts all across Nevada. Jared has been a resident of Nevada since 1988 and is committed to serving his community by providing exceptional legal services to victims who have been injured by carelessness and negligence of others. Ladies and gentlemen, in the building, we have for our guest episode 2, Jared Clark. What's up, my brother? What's going on, good sir?
What's going on, Sean? Thank you for having me. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Man, how you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling great. How you feeling today?
Man, I'm feeling blessed. I got a true legend in the building, a true North Las Vegas legend, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I appreciate you guys having this platform for people to tell their stories about black businesses.
Man, we have to. We have to amplify and talking about our stories, right? And that's one of the things that I'm grateful for Kevin Rayford, who's the director, the one who oversees Nevada Growing MBDA that's housed here at the College of Southern Nevada. He's the one who allows us to do our thing here for the BIB podcast, also known as the Business Information Buffet podcast for those ladies and gents. Okay, and we want to go ahead and get into the first segment. You ready, good sir?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
So the first segment here is recipe versus the outcome. Yes, sir. You hear the magic? You hear the magic?
I hear the magic. Do it one more time.
That's the magic. That's the magic. That's the magic right there. So for this segment, we discussed your journey, how you planned the business, what challenges you faced, how you were able to overcome it, and what the outcome was, right? So for the first question, how did you go from receiving a bachelor's degree in pre-professional biology to attending law school and becoming an injury law attorney? How'd you do that? Please give us a story.
That's a great question, Sean. And I can tell you sometimes life chooses you, or there's certain doors that opens as you're just naturally going through life, and that's kind of what happened. The reason that I had a pre-professional biology degree is that I was intending to go to pharmacy school or be a doctor initially. Okay. And about a year and a half into my undergraduate, I was at University of Arizona before I transferred to UNLV. I was working for an amazing law firm out here, and speaking to the partners all day. A couple of them became my mentors, and they convinced me to do law. I mean, I'm waking up, I'm seeing the good they're doing in the community. I started to love what I was doing there, and not to mention, I still got to have the mix of this science. I do personal injury law, as you know. Right. All we do is read medical records, talk to doctors, get expert opinions, you know, as it relates to things. So I kind of got to marriage the two of what I thought I wanted to do at first. Right. And then, you know, law kind of just chose me. So that's how it happened. And the cool thing, obviously, about law school is you could go have any bachelor degree. So you could have a rock and roll, you could have a science degree. So instead of restarting to do something a little bit more routine, like political science or criminal justice, I just kept on the course, and that led me to a biology degree. Because
that's something I've not heard that's common for lawyers, and the fact that you were able to marriage the two, I could see that. Like, okay, now it makes even more sense, because since you wanted to be a doctor, there's a little bit of the lingo, I'll say, or the language that you understand when it comes to the medical side, right? Yeah,
I mean, it definitely gave a huge advantage as relates to that. And, you know, I took a step back to say, do I really want to be a pharmacist? I think at the time it was the market for pharmacy that was driving it. Right. In 2006, you know, they were getting huge bonuses for starting. There was a shortage. Right. So they were trying to incentivize folks to become pharmacists. And I think the gimmicks in the papers and all that was more than, you know, more attractive than really, do you want to wake up and put that
Right.
You know, Walgreens or CVS, whatever it may be. But yeah, so it's the best of both worlds that got married.
Because I definitely see when it comes to the man, you got the whole suit game. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all can't see. For those who can watch on the recording, you see how fly his suit is. Okay, the pinstripe.
This is off the record.
That's off the record. It still looks fly.
Appreciate
it still
you,
looks fly, good sir.
I can't pull the hats off like you, Sean.
Oh man, listen. These we call these in the dapper world crowns.
Crowns.
Okay. They are fedoras for folks who don't know they are fedoras, but we call them in the dapper world crowns.
I like the crown term.
Thank you, because you're putting your crown on, you're looking real smooth. So, so now let's get more personal for you, right? Please explain what Clark Law Group is and what type of services do you provide for Clark Law Group?
So it's very simple. We are a boutique personal injury law firm serving the entire state of Nevada. The last firm that I was at, that I grew up at, that I had my mentorship at, they exclusively practice personal injury. I like the concept of practicing one special area as opposed to having kind of what we used to call in law school door law. And that's where you're taking anything that walks through the door, whether it's criminal or immigration. So we practice personal injury matters exclusively. Most of those things consist of auto accidents, just because they happen at such a high frequency here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Slip and falls, trip and falls, animal attacks, dog bites. Those are the main 4 or 5.
Oh man, on to the dog bites.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the start of it. Like, how did you plan Clark Law Group? Like, how did the plan go? Then the challenges you faced, and like, how did you overcome those challenges?
So Clark Law Group was something that I knew probably since I was 23 years old that I always wanted to bring to fruition at some point. I had to go through the phases and the steps. And, I was working with the firm as a licensed lawyer for approximately 2.5 years and decided to hang my own shingle, is what they call it in our world.
Right.
It was something more probably spiritual telling me that, this is the route for you. I will be able to impact more people if I do that. So yeah, 2.5 years into it, I decided to hang my own shingle, and here we are 3.5 years later. August 1st will be our 4th anniversary.
Man.
Flying.
Could we get a round of applause for that? And then we're going to add a little bit of, you hear that?
Magic.
Got magic right there. That's how he was able to come up with that recipe, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So, because you talked about how you worked with that law firm for about 2.5 years, right?
As a licensed lawyer.
As a licensed lawyer. Okay. So what made you transition working for a law firm to creating your own law firm? Because that's a huge step.
I've always kind of had an entrepreneur spirit within me. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that, your influences and your stimulus as you grow up. Right. That's just always been there. I had some successful people in my family who were entrepreneurs. So I always heard that lingo, always heard that talk. And at that particular time, I just felt that it was appropriate. Mm-hmm. I had went through the steps. I was working at that firm since I was 19 years old. Right. I obtained a wealth of knowledge in almost every aspect that you can at a law firm. Okay. And then once I finally got that license and practiced and did some litigation over there, I feel like that was a cherry on top that, I felt comfortable enough to go and hang my own shingle.
Man, that's this, and this just leads into the next question. So, because you've done all these things and to reach this point, which is a blessing. So, applies to you. And we'll add another bit of that splash too. We'll add another splash to that slam right there. That's that recipe work. That's recipe talk right there, ladies and gentlemen. So, there's another big question because most people, because you're from here, you went to school out here. So what made you, how did you decide to come back to Vegas instead of practicing out there in San Diego?
So that's another good question. Vegas, I always had intentions to come back. Outside of the obvious reason that San Diego is incredibly expensive. And I think that's why most people leave California. But I'm homegrown here, you know, and I wanted to come back to give to my community. My resources were out here. Right. The firm that I work with, I knew I had a job. I had built, over that 7-8 years that I was working there, I built some amazing contacts, and I wanted to come back and cultivate those, and also give back to a community that gave so much to me as well.
Right, because I think it was, I remember, and this is before I knew that you went to Thomas Jefferson, I was out there doing business too, and I ran into you at some event, and I was like, man, what? This guy is everywhere. Jared is everywhere, and he's there for the good of people, not just Las Vegas, but across the community. So please, just man, with another better that. Good sir. It is admirable what you do. And now now that we got the recipe, we got the outcome. We know a little bit more about Clark Law Group, which is phenomenal. you know we got to put you in that hot seat, sir.
Oh, here we go.
It's time to put you in that hot seat, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir.
Sweating right now, Sean. I don't know what you're about to ask.
So this segment, we provide in-depth questions to learn more about you as a guest. Okay. And also your business, not just but you as a guest. So first question I have for you is, how did COVID-19 affect your business?
It was a huge interference, I think, with like most people in my personal life as well as a professional, but obviously as a personal injury lawyer, the entire country shut down.
Right.
There was no vehicles on the road, therefore no accidents could happen, right? So we did slow up. I think most of our industry had slowed up. I try to look at the silver lining in everything.
Mm-hmm.
The amazing thing about it is it taught us that we could be a lot more virtual than what we already were.
Right.
And I could tell you, I believe, especially in the judicial system, the court, we were behind the 8 ball on that as it relates to, whether virtual depositions, whether it was virtual depositions or different hearings, but, having to constantly drive down to the courthouse for different appearances. And now everything is done through, it's almost like a Zoom. It's an app called Blue Jeans. So, hopefully that's kind of here to stay to an extent.
To an extent, okay.
I think some things should probably still be in person. But that's probably been the biggest changes is adapting to, look at the judge or opposing counsel and you're looking at a computer.
Yeah.
Ordinarily when you're, in person, face to face.
Yeah, that's something I always thought was interesting, and especially going from the courts to seeing it on a legislative level, everything is done virtually, and sometimes you're on a Zoom call or you're watching it, and it's interesting how they allow you to speak, because I had an interaction where I was in a legislative session, so I can only imagine what it's like in the court for you.
It's something that is novel. It's still kind of novel. Right. One of the most frustrating components of that COVID calls, but obviously completely understand, was the virtual consultations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm as a people person and one as a client who's entrusting someone to speak on their behalf. I think it's important to kind of meet people face to face.
Face to face, right.
To look at them in their eyes, examine what they're going through, go through the paperwork together. So to take that and do it telephonically, sometimes on FaceTime or whatever, the mechanism is, it was very odd, but we had to do what we had to do to keep the world safe, right?
Right. And like because the part about COVID, do you feel like, because either if I'm watching Criminal Minds or if I'm watching Law and Order, right, there's an emotional piece to being in the courtroom, right? Do you feel like that's missing within the courtroom because of COVID?
I don't believe that it's missing. I think it's just kind of been an adjustment. But, we have a duty to fight and represent our clients zealously.
Right.
That's in us. I think whether it's a computer or we're arguing passionately in court, we're going to do that. But I do think it's just kind of been a modification to that.
Okay.
But I think we're still able to do it at, the same level.
Man. So for my next question for you is, because as you know, Las Vegas, we're like a very top 2, top 3 hot spot for car accidents and injuries. What sets you apart from other injury law firms?
I don't know if us being set apart. It's very simple. The way that I like to, 1, we care. 2, we want to be to service of others. Mm-hmm. And what that means to me is no matter what situation arises or what issues come, we are always looking for a solution.
Gotcha.
Even if it's at the detriment or the cost to me, my team, and my staff, we want to find you the proper resource so you can get through whatever issue that you're navigating. So I think as you grow, to keep that kind of founding principle in place is what's important to me and my team. And it's easy as you grow, you get larger, to kind of lose some of those founding principles that got you going in the first place and that allowed you to offer that amazing service. But, we care. We care. We're dealing with people's lives who have been turned upside down, amputated arms, catastrophic injuries, you name it, right? Their life will never be the same. And obviously there's a lot of emotion and stuff that comes with that. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's a substitute for genuinely caring, genuinely building a relationship with people. I like to try to do that in my personal life as well as my professional life.
See, that deserves a round of applause. That also deserves the little bit of that magic. Because, sir, you are making it through the hot seat, ladies and gentlemen. This man is making it through all these questions, okay? You're surviving the hot seat, okay? But the next question for you is a personal one for you. what has been your personal goal to take your business to the next level?
I've been contemplating. We're 3.5 years in. What do I consider success in this space or whatever it is, right? Is it going to another state? Is it staying small here? I would like to just stay in Vegas.
Okay.
Maybe 2 offices and a couple of associate attorneys. I feel like the smaller we are, the more impact that we could provide to the community. So I could tell you I do not have ambitions or dreams of getting incredibly large, like the Learners or the Knockbees, and those are amazing businesses. But if I could stay small, I think we could provide more.
Okay,
and that's always the goal.
See, and that's good because you actually answered my last question because I was going to ask.
I beat you to the punch. I'm so sorry.
No, that just shows to your character of how genuine you are and how you do this for the people, and it shows. The results show. There's many people I know that you've helped. On a personal note, that they don't say they. I know I did because of confidentiality. Some folks say, some folks don't, but I know the work you've done for people, and it speaks volumes to what you do, and it's gonna your company will expand without you expanding, if that makes sense.
That does make sense,
and you're gonna keep growing because listen, ladies and gentlemen, my man Jared has survived the hot seat. Okay, he has survived the hot seat, and we're gonna go off to our next segment, ladies and gentlemen, which is the sauce. We need to know what it is, what's in it.
The sauce.
The sauce.
I like that.
Yes, sir. So
I don't really know what to expect right now.
So for this segment, gives us more of an insight on like on our guests where we ask like, what is your special ingredient for your business? And you kind of give a brief example of what that is, but this is where you tell us why nobody can replicate what you do. So my question for you is, tell us what makes Clark Law Group, my apologies, a company nobody can duplicate what you do.
I like to think of our brands, our identity on an individual level as akin to our genetics, right? Mm-hmm. The blueprint, our fingerprint, it's different from every individual out there.
Gotcha.
I believe being transparent, being authentic, being genuine, and trying to build a real relationship with an individual, again, whether it's personal or professional, I believe that is your DNA that will set you apart. So whatever that is that you have to offer when you're exercising those 3 things, right, that's what's going to drive it through. And that's what we try to strive through each day at Clark Law Group, to be genuine, good intentions, you care, and you're transparent, right? Which you have to be a little vulnerable at times because that's part of being transparent. And I think the rest, just kind of cultivates into, whatever that result is. And it's been great for us.
You know what? Let's go ahead. Throw that magic on there, ladies and gentlemen. So, is it safe to say, like, what is your special ingredient? What's your special ingredient?
I don't know. I'm a people's person.
I think you actually said, you answered it all. But I definitely appreciate that. And we're actually going to tee off to our next and our last segment of today. We're going to go into the happy hour, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Yes, sir. Survive. So
Shots at 1942 for everybody.
Yes,
right?
sir. Hey. Well, this segment is where the host and the guests, we give a toast to success, where we ask what's going on great for you, big or small, right? So we actually are going to take a nice little toast to apple cider. Okay, we're keeping it very professional.
Let's do it.
So if you go ahead, there's someone to the right. That boom.
Got it.
Give me one.
There you go.
There you go, Kurt. And it's for me. Thank you.
Drink early in the morning.
Apple cider.
My type of podcast.
Apple cider.
This is apple cider.
So what is something that's going great for you in your business that's worth celebrating?
We've had the ability to, and I'm super grateful for it, but over the last year or so where COVID has caused so much havoc, we have the ability to grow a lot. And I got to keep my entire team employed, which meant a lot to me.
Did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Nobody lost their jobs. Another round of applause, okay? Then they're going to go ahead, because guess what? That's that recipe. And you know what? They made it through the hot seat, okay, ladies and gentlemen? See, y'all try to laugh. Y'all better laugh. Man, so that's phenomenal. A huge congrats to that. And actually, is there anything else, sir, that's been great happening outside of that?
That's probably the best, what I'm most happy about, most passionate about. But yeah, that means a lot to me. I mean, we are a mini family there, right? And we all have lives, bills we need to pay. So, to see this pandemic just take over the way that it did, the fact that we didn't have to decrease anybody's pay, everybody got to stay on. And in fact, we actually wound up hiring 2 people over the pandemic. So it worked out good, and I'm grateful for that.
So I'm at this point, y'all can get annoyed with me, but we're going to have to give another round of applause for that one. And we got to go ahead and throw that. That's your secret ingredient, sir, because you are there for the people. And it's been, if you didn't hear it today, folks, I challenge you to go check him out. Check out Jared Clark or check out his law group, Clark Law Group, okay? And we want to give a toast to you, to my man Jared, to our good sir Jared, for success. Go ahead, take it.
Cheers. I appreciate
Cheers.
you, Sean.
No problem at all. Cheers. Cheers.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Apple cider vinegar? No, sorry, apple cider. Apple cider. So, thank you so much for joining us today. That concludes the show. This is for episode 2. It's an honor to have you continue to do the great things that you're doing in the community. Continue to uplift, continue to inspire, continue to transcend and follow your bliss, good sir. Because everything, all the energy that you're putting out to the world is being seen and it's getting back to you, good sir. And we just can't thank you enough. Thank you for being on the BIB.
Sean, that means the most. If I could just take 2 seconds to thank you and your entire team for allowing this platform.
Yes.
Storytelling is something that is so, it's very powerful, right? And you as a true community leader and what you have done for this community. And I see you. I appreciate that, but I see you. You continue the good work as well, and thank you for allowing us to get on here and tell our stories and share with the world, and hopefully we can influence someone along the way.
Man, and that's the goal. That's what we're looking to do, and we all inspire each other. Because if there's one thing that we all learned, you wouldn't be where you are if you didn't have a village. Every single person in this room, this is family. This is what it looks like, because family takes care of the village. It's not always perfect, but we strive to make sure we push each other and hold each other accountable. And that's why we're all in this community together. So I can't thank you enough. My man, DJ Icebreak, can you go? We're going to get ready to go ahead and wrap up. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuned in to the Business Information Buffet Podcast, also known as the BIB Podcast, where everybody eats. And I'm so sorry. Before we leave, sir, we need to do your selfish plugs. Where can we find you, good sir? Where can we find Jared Clark, the infamous?
You can find us online at injuryattorneyvegas.com, Clark Law Group on Facebook, Clark Law Group on Instagram. Give us a call at 702-330-3272. And I like to say, we only handle personal injury matters. However, if you have any legal question, any legal concern, any legal matter for you, your family, friend, or a colleague, give us a call. Again, we want to be a resource. So if it's not something that I can handle, I could get you to someone that I trust, that I would go to if I was in a similar situation, to make sure you are in good hands and you have the proper representation. So please, we just want to be of service. Give us a call.
And you heard it from my man, Jared Clark. This is Sean Torrey with our DJ Icebreak.
DJ Icebreak. You go, boy.
And yes, sir, we are out of here, ladies and gents. Go have a good time today. We are out.
Happy Saturday.